जय झूलेलाल, जय झूलेलाल ऐं सभिनीनि खे हरिओम हरिओम हरिओम। सिंधी हेरिटेज इन एसोसिएशन विथ श्री दयाल एंड हरजाणी हांगकांग के सहयोग से एपिसोड नंबर 7 पेश कर रही है बाल संस्कार। बाल संस्कार कनेक्टिंग टू रूट्स। अज की तारीख़ में असांखे ॿार संस्कार खां वंचित आहिनि, उन्हनि खे जोड़ण लाइ असां ही प्रोग्राम चालू कयो आहे ऐं अॼु उनजो ही 7 एपिसोड आहे। अॼु जो प्रोग्राम मां शुरू कयां हुन खां अॻु हिकु अहिड़ी शख़्सियत खे मां श्रद्धांजलि ॾियणु चाहींदुसि जेको असांजे कुटुंब जो वॾो हो। श्री अशोक ही भाटिया ही मुंहिंजे वाइफ जा पिता हुआ। लास्ट वीक 3 दिसंबर 2020 में पंहिंजी 85 साल जी जीवन यात्रा पूरी करे हिन संसार खां विदा थिया आहिनि। मां पहिरीं हुननि खे श्रद्धांजलि ॾींदुसि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। जेको बि हिन दुनिया में आयो आहे हुनखे वापसि हिकु दफ़ो वञिणो आहे। राम गयो रावण गयो, बाक़ी रहियो न कोई। गुरु नानक साहिबु चयो आहे राम बि वियो हली रावण बि वियो हली, जेको आयो आहे हुनखे वञिणो आहे। पर कुझु माण्हू अहिड़ा हूंदा आहिनि जेके वेंदा हली आहिनि पर हरदम यादि रहंदा आहिनि। अहिड़ी ही शख़्सियत हुई कि मुंहिंजा फादर इन लॉ श्री अशोक भाटिया, हू 3 दिसंबर ते पंहिंजो शरीर छॾे करे परलोक ते हिते विया आहिनि। त मां हुननि खे श्रद्धांजलि ॾेई करे अॼु जो ही बाल संस्कार चालू कंदुसि। अॼु जो ही बाल संस्कार एपिसोड नंबर 7 असां जेको पेश पिया कयूं श्री दयाल एंड हरजाणी जे सहयोग सां। प्रदीप जी, अगरि ॿार अची विया हुजनि त पहिरीं तव्हां प्रियंका सोनी खे 1 मिंट खणंदा त उहा नंढी असांजी बड़ौदा खां हिकु भॼन पेश कंदी, प्रियंका सोनी। ऐं हुन खां पोइ असांजे विच में आयल ख़ासि महिमान स्वामिनी सुप्रियानंदा जी जेके हांगकांग खां जॉइन थी रहिया आहिनि, असां उन्हनि खे ॿुधंदासीं। प्रदीप जी, प्रियंका अची वई है?
जय झूलेलाल अंकल।
जय झूलेलाल, जय झूलेलाल। बेटा अॼु तव्हां हिकिड़ो पहिरीं भॼन ॿुधायो, पोइ वरी तव्हां 20-25 मिंट खां रेस्ट खां पोइ वरी तव्हांजो भाउ उहो असांखे मंत्र ॿुधाईंदो। त पहिरीं तव्हां हिकिड़ो भॼन ॿुधायो जेको तव्हां तयारु कयो आहे।
जी अंकल।
कहिड़ो तयारु कयो अथव?
अच्युतम केशवम।
हा प्लीज गायो अच्युतम केशवम।
जी। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम, नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् कौन कहता है भगवान आते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान आते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान खाते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान खाते नहीं बेर शबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं बेर शबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् कौन कहता है भगवान नाचते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान नाचते नहीं गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम्
वाह बेटा वाह, बहुत बढ़िया,
थैंक यू
जाम सुठो ॻायो आहे। हाणे तव्हांखे वरी तव्हांजो भाउ थोरे अधु कलाकनि खां पोइ तव्हां ॿिन्ही खे वरी सॾु कंदसि, उहो जेको मंत्र ॿुधाईंदो, ठीकु आहे बेटा? तेसीं भले तव्हां आराम कजो, असां ॿियो प्रोग्राम हलायूं। थैंक यू, जय झूलेलाल।
जय झूलेलाल।
असांजे विच में हांगकांग खां सामिनी सुप्रिया नंदा जी, मां हुननि जो शॉर्ट में हिकिड़ो इंट्रोडक्शन ॾियां। सामिनी सुप्रिया नंदा जी इज़ physiologist and she has joined to serve the humanity with Chinmaya mission. She is very good storyteller, writer and orator. She is serving as a full-time monk, as a Hindu monk with Chinmaya mission and presently based at Hong Kong. I request Samini Supriyananda ji and welcome her, Samini Supriyananda ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Welcome ji. Samini Supriyananda ji, from last so many years, doing the seva of Sanatan Dharma through Chinmaya mission. For Swami Chinmayanand ji, I give you one brief. In 1973, when he started Vishwa Hindu Parishad at Sandipani Ashram in Powai, on that time people were telling that it is not possible to arrange each and every sant on one munch. And today, when Ram Mandir is started, everybody is telling he has the vision. Our each and every son has a large vision for the community, and I am very thankful to Swami Supriyananda ji. She is joining and completing her uh, this Swami Chinmayanand ji vision through Sanatan Dharma Seva. I request Swami Supriyananda ji to tell us words of wisdom. Swami Supriyananda ji. Welcome from Sindhi Heritage family and from
Thank
Dayal
you.
Harjani family. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. It's an honor to be doing Pujya Swami Gurudev Chinmayanandaji's work. And I'm one of many who are fulfilling and trying to keep his vision alive. So, one of the most beautiful things we have on this planet is the ocean. And very often we look at the ocean, and sometimes we're even able to swim in the ocean. And when we're in the ocean, we'll notice that we get dragged away or we get pulled away. Sometimes we don't even realize. We start in one spot, we leave our picnic blanket and everything in one spot, we go into the water, and the water carries us away, sometimes quite a distance. Even boats in the ocean get carried away, and even very big boats in the ocean get moved by the ocean. And so, to help the ocean, the boats have an anchor. And when they put this anchor, it reduces the movement. And they're able to stay still. And they don't end up going where they don't want to go. Even if we on a train, and the train is bumpy, we hold on to a pole or we hold on to the lever hanging so that we don't fall and so that we don't tumble and get carried away. This is the biggest benefit of our spirituality. Because in life, we're always getting pushed and pulled and dragged away by so many different things. So sometimes it's circumstances. Like this year with COVID and being locked down, we didn't know it was going to happen. And then suddenly we're in this situation and we can't go anywhere. And the frustration can build up in our mind, and that frustration can drag the mind to very sad places or very angry places. And we don't want to go. We don't want to go to those sad places or those angry places. And then with relationships, when we discussing with each other, again, sometimes so many emotions come and the emotions carry us away. With each emotion that we feel, it brings a whole new train of thoughts. And then even with our behavior, we can get carried away. And sometimes we think we'll just watch a little bit TV, and then we watch a little bit more, and then we watch a little bit more. And then it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're still watching the TV instead of going to sleep. So we get dragged away. Our mind drags us away, things outside drag us away, our own internal desires drag us away. And so we need this anchor to help us stay still. And the anchor has to be the deepest part of us. See, if our body is an anchor, our body keeps changing. We get older, sometimes it's sick, sometimes it's healthy. Our mind also can't be the anchor because the mind also keeps changing. With each circumstance that comes, the mind keeps changing. So it has to be something deeper in us that can hold us and anchor us and give us strength. And from that anchor, then we can make good decisions. I'll just give you a very small incident that has happened here in my life. When I first came to Hong Kong, long time ago, I was new here, and a young man, maybe 20, 22, he rang the bell. I went and opened. He didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was, but he was so excited to be here in the ashram. And he was telling me stories. I used to come as a kid. I used to do the mantras here. Krishna is the same, the carpet's the same, the wall's same. So excited he was to be back in the ashram. So I listened and I was curious why he would, he had so much love for the ashram. And then I said, so where are you now? He's gone off to university in America. And then you've come back on holiday. And then his face became very sad. And he said, no, I came back because I was in a car accident. And, things got really bad. And I was in hospital for almost 2 months because I had broken both my legs. So just talking about what had happened to him. Unfortunately, they had gone out. They had a few drinks. The person driving the car lost control. One of them died. 2 of them were in the hospital. And so he said to me that 2 months he was on that hospital bed, knowing that one of his friends died, and he couldn't move because both his legs were broken. And he said he was going crazy. And I thought, so what did you do? How did you get through it? And he said, the only thing I kept remembering was the mantras I learned when I was a kid in the Bal Vihar classes. And so I just kept saying that mantra again and again and again and again. And it's the only thing that made my mind quiet. And I was still very young. I had just come new to the ashram. I had just finished my training. And that was such a powerful story for me to realize that when we teach the kids this knowledge, when we give them the mantras, when we give them faith, when we give them understanding, somewhere in their lives they're going to need it and they're going to hold on to it. Because all our lives will have challenges and difficulties. All of us are going to go through heartache. All of us are going to get jealous and disappointment. All of us are going to have failures. And in those times in our lives, we can get carried away in that sorrow, or we can get carried away in bad habits. We need something to anchor in, to give us peace, to give us strength, and then to help us reset and go in the right direction. And with the children, of course, we're there for them. We tell them your family's always here, your family will love you, you can always come to us. And the family can be a great anchor. But sometimes the children are angry with the family. Children get angry with parents. Parents get angry with children. It happens. It's part of everyday living. And at that time, when I'm angry with the people I love, where will I go? I need some anchor that can always be there no matter what. And so the best anchor is the deepest part of us. And the deepest part of us is our Atma, our soul. And that brings us to the part of us that has the most strength, the part of us that has the most wisdom. And so when we anchor in that, when we anchor in our soul, when we anchor in love, which is devotion, and when we anchor in faith, then life can't shake us too much. It will still shake us, but it won't shake us too much. And after whatever happens, we come back. And often when we have faith and when we have devotion, we come back from the turbulence even stronger. So our spirituality becomes the place where we find our strength and we find our peace and it becomes the thing that help us stay on the track that we want to stay. So this is just a small little message for all of you today. I hope that our children really do benefit from the wisdom that we have benefited from our elders. And as we pass it down, it's one of the best gifts that we can give them. I thank you all for valuing our samskars and giving time to honor it and to learn about it and to share it. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Supyananda ji. You given us word of wisdom with examples. We are thankful to you. And just one small question: from how many years you are serving through Chinmaya Mission?
I joined the ashram about 23 years ago. I was in training for 3 years and I've been serving for 20 years.
Very large time. And thank you very much for serving the Sanatan Dharma,
Thank you.
because in today's time, very few people are ready to serve the Sanatan Dharma as a monk.
Thank you. Hari
Thank you
Om.
very much.
Hari
Yes.
Hari Om.
On behalf of Sindhi Heritage family, I thanks to Swami Supyananda ji for word of wisdom, and she taken her valuable time from her other engagements and came us live to give her word of wisdom to public. अॼु असांजे विच में हिकिड़ो यंग पुरोहित दरियानानी आहे, हनीश दरियानानी, जेको हांगकांग खां आहे। अॼु जी तारीख़ में चङा घटि सिंधी यंग बॉयज़ हिन पुरोहित जे कम में वेंदा आहिनि। मां पुरोहित श्री हनीश दरियानी जो वेलकम कंदुसि। श्री हनीश दरियानानी, welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Am I audible? Can everybody hear?
Yes, you're audible. And at very young age, you are serving the Sanatan Dharma. We welcome you and request your good self
Yeah.
kindly inform us about you also, and also today what you want to say.
Yes. Thank you. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So today I was asked to introduce myself actually. I quite recently came out of studying at the ashram. So I trained in Coimbatore in South India at the Chinmaya Gardens. So I was part of the course there that they took up for about 6.5 months, training up Purohits over there. And so I recently returned back from that course. And today I was told to carry on from what Uncle KP last week had told us about. So he introduced to us the samskara. So we have this concept of samskara in our Vedic culture. And so there are many different ones, but there are 16 major ones, of which Uncle nicely explained to us the Garbhadana, where the conception of the child is so important, and the mood in which the parents are in while they conceive the child is so incredibly important. Then he explained to us about the Jata Karma, when the child is born, how we should cut the umbilical cord and how we should take care of the child. Then he explained about the Namakarana, the importance of giving the child an auspicious name. And so these are all things that we actually normally do if we think about it, that the samskaras that we see, they're actually very common occurrences. They are things that we do normally for any child. So we give them a name, we bring them home. And as they get older, we see all of the samskaras that I'll now explain to all of you. So one of the first ones after the child is named is the nishkramanam. So that's when the baby first comes out of the house and is exposed to the outer environment. So we see that this is such a natural thing. When a child gets older, we start to take them outside. But it's different when we call it a samskara, because we've now given it such a spiritual significance. Um, we've attached the Lord, we've attached the divine to this important milestone in the child's life. And so it's usually a visit to the temple. The child is first taken out of the house and taken to visit the temple. And then there are prayers that are chanted for Surya, the sun, Chandra, the moon, Indra, the lord of all the devatas, Vayu, the wind, all the elements that the child is now exposed to outside of the home. And again, this is all connected to the divine. So it's not as simple as taking the child outside and saying, okay, we've had a nice first day. We honor the Lord and we offer our gratitude that you've taken care of this child for so long. Please continue to do so even outside of the house. As the child then gets older, we introduce solid foods. So again, such a natural thing. As the child gets older, we wean them off of breast milk and we start to introduce solid foods. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidam. I am the Vaishvanara fire within the body, and I digest all the food that is offered to me in this yajna. So even eating is seen as a yajna in our samskaras, in our culture. This also acts as the samskara also acts as a means to introduce the different tastes to the child. So in Ayurveda, there's 6 tastes: sweet, sour, spicy, bitter, pungent, and astringent. So when we start to introduce solid foods, we can gradually introduce these tastes to the child as well. And again, because we now invoke the Lord within the child's digestive fire, it's a spiritual act. And so it purifies. So all of these samskaras are actually meant to be purifying agents for the child, so that as they get older, they start to develop more of a spiritual inclination within their daily interactions. As we go through their life again and again, we reach the point where we have the Chura Karana. So the Chura Karana is when we shave the child's head. So some people have a very strong opinion about whether this should be done or whether this shouldn't be done, because it's probably the first physical change to the child's body that's perceivable. And so the child is also naturally taken aback when they first see themselves in the mirror. They probably wonder, who is this? But that's such an important aspect of the samskara, is that it introduces change to the child. They see things happening around them, but when they see that this body is something that changes, we immediately introduce that concept that if your body can change, it's not eternal. So how can I be this temporary body? We introduce these concepts in such subtle ways through our samskaras to the child, so that once again, they may develop spiritual inclination as they get older. And Chura Karanam is also so important to be done because it reminds us that beauty is not always in the material body. In Kali Yuga, in today's day and age, beauty is actually seen in hair and in nails. So if we see today's culture, we go and we get our hair done, we go and we get our nails done. And usually it's one of the first few things that we notice. Oh, you did your nails, you got your nails done. Oh, your hair looks so nice. That's the way we assess beauty nowadays. In the earlier times, it would be assessed by the way your body was. Even in earlier times, in Treta Yuga, when Rama was on this earth, you could see beauty in their face. And even before that, in Satya Yuga, you could see beauty through people's eyes. So how we've come so gross into our assessment of beauty is that we see it in hair and nails. And through Chura Karanam, we introduce this concept to the child that your beauty does not lie in your hair. Your beauty lies much deeper. Beauty is not skin deep, and it's not hair deep either. This also signifies the removal of all the old samskaras, so all the old habits from previous lifetimes that the child may have carried forward into this life. We try and remove them. So once we remove all that earlier ignorance, we can now inculcate all these higher values. We can now remove their ignorance of superficiality and give them the knowledge of spirituality. As the child gets further older, we then introduce them to the alphabet. So this is the Vidyarambham. And usually it starts with a Saraswati or a Hayagriva puja. So Hayagriva is known as the deity of knowledge in some traditions. And here the guru or the parent will take the child's little hand and they will make them write Om, the first akshara, and then they'll continue on and write Om on their tongue. So we say, may you always chant Om, and may you also always speak sweetly. Because when we write the Om, we write it in honey as well. So once the child completes their Vidyarambham and they start going to school, then slowly, as they get older, we introduce them to their gurus. So then we have the Upanayana Sanskara, in which the child is given the Gayatri mantra and the Janya. So this is just a brief overview of all the Sanskaras, and they have such deep significance. But my goal for today is to give you a brief overview and to also explain that it's so important to have these samskaras in your child's life because it marks every milestone with gratitude to Bhagwan, which is something we don't always remember to do. From Bhagwan came everything, and to Bhagwan everything will go. But offering our gratitude is one way that we can recognize his greatness. And so that's the glory of the 16 samskaras that we have. That every milestone in our life, we offer our gratitude to the Lord. This was just a short introduction, and I hope you all benefited from this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Anish Daryanani. This is not. How much is your age?
I'm 22.
Yeah, I think you are the youngest in Sindhi community. We are proud. You are the, I think, youngest Purohit in our Sindhi community because
Thank you.
you learned at Chinmaya Mission at Coimbatore. I think Chinmaya International School. They are giving training in Coimbatore for Purohit
Oh, it's
and
not the
Sanskar.
school. The school
Not
is different. So the
the
boarding
school
school is amazing. It's wonderful. But my
okay.
training was done at the ashram that was
At
in
Ashram.
Coimbatore.
Ashram. Okay. Okay. So Chudamani, I think is Mundan. Sindhi
The
में जगह
Chuda
बड़ा Mundan.
Karanam, yes. That's
Yeah, it is
in
Mundan
Sindhi we would call it a
and
Mundan, yes.
Mundan and Vidya Arambha. You told it is, but when child is born, on that time also they are putting on honey to child on the
Maybe back in the olden days they used to do that,
olden.
but in today's day and age nobody does that because in hospitals nobody can really
Okay.
access. And also honey is sometimes seen as very hygienic. So
Okay.
sometimes things need to change, and so we can adjust as we progress in today's day and age. We
Yes. Yes.
must adjust.
Yes. Yes. Sir. And this Upnayam is Janev Sanskar, na? Upnayam is
Yes, the
Janev.
Janiya Sanskar.
What is the actual age for Upnayam as per the Sanatan Dharma?
It varies depending on your family, and it also just purely depends on it. Yes, mainly family tradition, but
Yes.
probably the best way to actually, in today's day and age, set an
Yes.
age is for when the child starts to develop the ability to think
Yes.
critically. So when the child is able to start asking questions, and you can see that their inclination is they're starting to become more curious, then it's time to introduce the Upanayanam to them because then it
Right.
introduces discipline to their life, it introduces responsibility.
Yes. Yes. Very nice information you have provided. I'm thankful to you and I'm thankful to Dada Dayal Harjani sir who will introduce us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
Wonderful,
to Uncle Dayal.
wonderful young Purohit. to our community. I am thankful to you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much for today.
And I think I request you again to join us in another episode because your way of expression is very good. And our Sindhi community generally, presently, doing Janeu before 1 or 2 days of marriage. But as per old tradition, I think is 6 to 11 years age is I think is better for Janeu Sanskar.
Sometimes that can work, but also it depends on whether the child is able to grasp the importance and the significance of the Janyu. Because it's
Okay.
easy to have the ceremony and it's easy
Yes.
to get everything done. But if the child does not feel there's an impact on their life, then it doesn't
Yes.
serve its total purpose.
Okay.
So it's always best to ensure that your child understands what's happening
Yes.
before you actually have their Upanayanam done. Because that's the one thing before Vivaha, before marriage, that is a connection between their childhood and their adulthood.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Anish
Thank you
Nilanani.
so much for today.
So you are doing professionally this Purohit work or just part time?
So I actually, by education, I'm a physiotherapist.
Uh-huh. Nice.
And so I'm practicing that, and I'm also practicing this Paurohityam with the community in Hong Kong.
Okay. Nice
Yeah.
information you have provided. Thank you very much once
Thank
again.
you so much. Hari Om.
Thanks. Hari Om. Hari Om. ही हुआ असांजे विच में पुरोहित हनीश दरियानानी 22 साल जी एज में अॼु फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट सां गॾु ई गॾु ही पुरोहित जी बि सेवा ॾेई रहिया आहिनि। मां श्री दयाल हरजाणी साहिब जो शुक्रिया कंदुसि कि अहिड़ा यंग पुरोहित ऐं जेके संस्कारनि जे बारे में ॿुधाए सघनि अहिड़ा असांखे इंट्रोड्यूस कया अथऊं। उन लाइ मां श्री दयाल हरजाणी साहिब जो घड़ी घड़ी धन्यवाद ॾींदुसि। असांजे विच में श्री विनोद शर्मा जी बि आहिनि, पर हुन खां अॻु ॿार जेके असां सां जॉइन थिया हुआ भॼण लाइ उहो कुझु मंत्र उच्चारण करणु चाहिनि था। श्री विनोद जी परमिशन अगरि हुजे त मां 2 मिंट ॿारनि खे ॾियां थो ऐं हू कुझु मंत्र उच्चार कंदा। हा बेटा, हा बेटा, छा मंत्र ॿुधाईंदा तव्हां? तव्हांजो माइक चालू कयो बेटा। हा बेटा।
मां ओम भूर्भुवस्सुवः ॻाईंदमि।
हा बेटा ॿुधायो।
ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। विघ्नेश्वराय वरदाय सुरप्रियाय लंबोदराय शकलाय जगद्रिताय नागाननाय श्रुतियज्ञविभूषिताय गौरीसुताय गणनाथ नमो नमस्ते।
वाह बेटा वाह, जाम सुठा संस्कार तव्हांजे फादर पिंटू सोनी तव्हांखे ॾिना आहिनि। हुन लाइ मां हुननि जो शुक्रिया अदा कंदुसि। ही ॿार असांजे हिकिड़े सुठे सिंधी सिंगर पिंटू सोनीअ जा ॿार आहिनि ऐं जेको त हिकिड़ो मशहूरु गानो आहे सभु हथ मथे कयो, उहो हिननि जे कहिड़ो कहिड़ो मशहूरु गानो आहे बेटा तव्हांजे फादर जो? हा जी, त ॿिए दफ़े वरी हिननि ॿारनि खे मां सॾु कंदुसि, छोकी हिननि ॿारनि खे मां जेतिरो सॾु कया ओतिरो घटि आहे। ही ॿार एक्सपर्ट आहिनि हर हिक फील्ड में। त बेटा वापसि मां
Thank
तव्हांखे
you.
ॿियो दफ़ो वरी चांस ॾींदुसि. थोरो अॼु टाइम जी कमी आहे. तव्हां पंहिंजो टाइम कढी करे असांजे विच में आया. तव्हांजो थैंक यू, धन्यवाद. असांजे विच में विद्वान आयुर्वेदिक जा आचार्य श्री विनोद शर्मा जी आहिनि. मां रिक्वेस्ट कंदुसि श्री विनोद शर्मा जी खे. हरिओम. तव्हांजो माइक बंदि पियो आहे. माइक बंदि पियो आहे तव्हांजो. हा, हरिओम.
हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण.
नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती तमल कृष्ण गोस्वामी इति नामिने. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. तो अॼु हिन कार्यक्रम में अचण जी वरी ॾाढी ख़ुशी थी आहे. थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी टुडे.
अॼु असां तव्हां सां छा ज्ञान वठंदासीं. तव्हां लास्ट टाइम जेको आयुर्वेद जे बारे में ॿुधायो, जाम सुठी इंफॉर्मेशन ॾिनी. तव्हांखे वरी रिक्वेस्ट कंदुसि कि तव्हां वक़्तु वठी करे पंहिंजो आराम सां असांखे वधीक नॉलेज ॾींदा. हरे कृष्ण.
हाँ ज़रूर, मां कोशिशि कंदुसि जेतिरो मां सही नमूने सम्झाए सघां. So what I was saying that before I start talking about Ayurveda, it was very interesting and very impressive to see Hanish. हनीश खे मां तमामु नंढे हूंदे खां सुञाणा. हुनजी माउ जो मां जॾहिं इलाजु करणु वेंदो हुउसि त हीउ ॾाढो नंढो हूंदो हो, 3-4 साल जो हूंदो हुन वक़्तु. त उन उमिरि में ॿार नॉर्मली children they play with the different kinds of toys, but Hani used to play with Krishna's and Gopis toys. So it shows that that he is carrying this sanskara from his previous life. Seeing him, it proves the fact what is said. It was said by a very great philosopher of our Sindhi community. Many of you may know, you might have heard his name, and some of you might have personally seen him or seen him in his movies. His name is Ram Panjwani. He was a professor at a college, Jai Hind College in Bombay. So he said very nicely in Sindhi, "Daat nae zaat te, jo wahe so lahe." These kind of skills, they do not depend on thy birth. Whoever endeavors, whoever puts his sincere efforts, the Lord bestows his mercy upon that person. So after seeing Hanish, I feel that that proverb, what Ram Panjwani said, it is proven. So thank you very much for introducing him to this program. And I'm sure that many people will benefit from what he shared today, the wisdom about our ancient science, about samskaras. So I would focus on the Ayurvedic principles. If you see our whole Vedic heritage, it is so beautifully designed and very beautifully connected. So whatever things we see as rituals, there are some scientific and logical reasons given behind. Like all the samskaras, what Hanish was talking about, very briefly he said about those samskaras. So if you see, if you go at a deeper level, there are some scientific reasons also behind those samskaras, why those samskaras are to be done at certain age, at certain time, and special muhurtas also were chosen. Sometimes people they say that no, these kind of things are very superstitious things, but actually it is not. They are very scientific. Only the thing is that because our modern generation they do not have enough information, education about samskaras. So down these are superstitious rituals. They are to be done just for the sake of formality. Like one of the things you mentioned about Upanayana. Formality sake, people they do that Janoi Samskara just before the wedding. And that actually it's not the right way of doing it. Of course something is better than nothing, but that is not the right way of doing it. Should be right age and what kind of rules and regulations are to be followed after wearing the janoi, jani we call it in Sindhi. So those things are also to be followed to take full advantage of that. In Ayurveda also the explanation is given about these samskaras. What are the scientific reasons behind these samskaras? So yeah, last time I was talking to you about Garbhodam Samskara. Hanish mentioned about that also briefly, and last time even Shri KP Daswani also talked about it. So, what is the scientific reason behind doing it? When we talk from the Ayurvedic perspective, what is the significance of following this or doing this Garbhodam Samskara? When we studied in Guru Shishya system, I was very fortunate to find a guru to teach Ayurveda in that very traditional system, not teacher and student system. There's difference between Guru Shishya system and the teacher and student system. Guru Shishya system is, when Shishya is qualified, then the Guru will impart the knowledge, whatever uh, kind of ability or capability the Shishya has. According to that, the Guru will teach. And in the teacher and student system, is that the students demand what they want to learn. The teachers are treated like employees because students feel that the teachers get remuneration or salary from the fees paid by the students. So the system is quite different. So I won't go into that detail. So coming back to the point of Garbhana Samskara, what is the scientific reason behind it? See, when we learned, our guru said, when we go to buy, supposing for example, in India, it is very common. People, they use a clay pot with a tap for water. We say matko. The Janasi Matko Vatana when we go to buy that, we knock it and we see, how hard it is and how long can it be, its durability, how long can it last. So just for a simple clay pot, we are so careful, so cautious before we buy. So Guru said, people, they don't pay that much attention to invite a soul into their family. What kind of living being they want in the family as a family member, because they may have to spend rest of their life with their family member, but people, they don't focus on that. So in Ayurveda, so much of significance is given on that Garbhodhan Samskara, and proper procedure is mentioned. To simplify that, in Ayurveda it is said, at least a couple, if they follow a specific diet for 6 weeks, so that will help to purify the Shukra Dhatu. That's a seventh Dhatu. Whatever food we eat, we get seven Dhatus from that food. Those are called sustainers. Those components, they help us to sustain our body structure and maintain our health. So seventh one is Shukra Dhatu. First one is plasma, second is blood, third is muscles, fourth is fat, fifth is bones, sixth is the connecting tissue, marrow, like in bone marrow, and the seventh one is the reproductive tissue. So that has to be pure. When that Shukra Dhatu is pure, then the child which is conceived, that child also can be quite healthy, not only from the physical perspective, but intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually also. So very detailed guidelines are given what kind of diet is to be followed. Now, you may be surprised to hear that in Ayurveda, the guidelines are given for couples to follow if they want to have a specific gender of the child, whether a boy or girl. So, according to that, a woman should follow and what kind of diet a man should follow, depending on what kind of child they want, if they want a boy or a girl. And in my practice, I have seen that, it can be quite successful. Not 100%, but more than 90%, I would say it is quite successful. In families, I have come across, when they wanted to have a boy, then they followed the guidelines, and after that, they got a boy. And some families, they wanted to have a girl, so when they follow the guidelines for 6 weeks before conceiving, then they got a girl. So again, in this also Ayurveda says that our previous karma plays very important role. It's not 100% that whatever things we follow, the result will be according to our expectation or according to what we hope. But the chances are quite bright. So coming back to this, I was talking about the immune system last time. So immunity, to build up immunity, is not only after birth. It's the responsibility of the parents who want to start a family. They take care of their health so that the forthcoming child, that child's immunity is quite good. Gender is secondary. Primary thing is, the whoever is born, whether the is or the male, that person's, that child's health should be quite good. Unfortunately, nowadays we see, that so many cases have happened that children, when they are born, even to healthy couples, their health is not good. Because if Shukra Dhatu is polluted, is dushit, we call it in Sanskrit, when it is dushit, then the child who is conceived, the child's health cannot be good. And again, during the pregnancy also, no mas chikitsa, what I talked about last time, when a woman particularly follows that, that increases the chances of normal delivery and delivery of a healthy child. So these kind of guides which are given in Ayurveda, you read, to discuss and start applying those, you see that how practical our science is, our ancient sciences. And now it's a good thing. We see that, younger generation also is coming forward to follow the Ayurvedic principles and even other Vedic systems, what we discussed earlier, what Manish discussed earlier. So it's very encouraging to see that younger generation also is taking interest to learn, not only to learn, but to practice and propagate and to teach other people. I heard recently, I think about 128 years ago, when Vivekananda ji had gone to the US as a representative of Hindu community. He said at that time that 20th century is for the US people, for their culture, and 21st century is going to be for Hindus. He specifically mentioned that. So we see that, that in the beginning of this 21st century, so many things are happening. Our Vedic samskaras, our Vedic literature, Vedic wisdom has been being very willingly accepted by younger generation, and they promote it, they propagate it. Before, they used to feel very shy, they used to feel very reluctant, because they used to think, these things are superstitious things, very rituals and all that, we are not interested. But when they are taught the reasons behind, the logical reasons, the scientific reasons behind those things, what we do, then they accept willingly. Once they are convinced logically that these things, whatever we are doing, there is some reason behind it, scientific and logical reason behind it, then they accept it willingly and they follow. So this is what I've been seeing in Hong Kong also. When I've traveled to other places, I see that that thing is happening in very recent years, and that's a very encouraging thing. So last time I was talking to you about, I talked to you about drinking milk at night, and what is the reason turmeric, cinnamon powder, and cardamom seed powder is to be added. Ayurveda is way of life. It's wisdom of life. So in day to day, we have to apply the Ayurvedic principles in order to maintain health. It is said that it is our responsibility to take charge of our own health. We should not depend on somebody else to take care of our own health. Nowadays, the practice is, in general, I'm talking about, people, they ruin their health and they run after the health experts to take care of their health. So that is not a wise thing to do. Like in Hindi, we say, apna doctor, apna vaidya swayam bano. You should become your own doctor. Because what is happening to you, the way you realize, the way you understand, the way you experience, nobody else can understand that. The agony you go through, only you will be in a position to understand better. Nobody else can understand that. So it depends upon you, and it is your responsibility, your duty, and your right also to take care of your own health. So Ayurveda is about that, to educate people so that they know what is happening with them, why those things are happening with them, and how those things can be corrected. So when those things are taught, then people can take charge of their own health. Now, how to start that? What is the basic step of educating people? In Charak Samhita, it is mentioned the main cause of sickness in the human society is that most of the human beings, they do not know who they are. We don't know who we are. That means Ayurveda is talking from the perspective of constitution. We call it Prakriti. One meaning of Prakriti is nature. And when it comes to the individual level, that means our own Prakriti, our own constitution. In Sindhi, we call it Hati. Hati. In a Manoji, in a Mayaji, Hati area. So, what kind of combination of doshas the person is having? We talk about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So depending on which dosha is more prominent, that determines the constitution, the prakriti of an individual. So most of us, we do not know When we know about the Prakriti, then we can follow the diet and lifestyle according to that, matching the Prakriti. But if we do not know, then how we would know that what is appropriate for us, what is suitable for us, and what is not suitable for us. So because we are ignorant about that, we are not aware about that, we end up eating the food items which may not be suitable for us, and we start living the lifestyle the way others are living. And when that lifestyle is not appropriate, not suitable for us, then we end up having problems. So when this knowledge, basic knowledge is given to people that what kind of constitution they have, and according to that, what is suitable for them, what is appropriate for them, and what is not suitable, what can be harmful for them, then they can avoid those things and they can maintain their health. In Charak Samhita, it is mentioned that if one knows what is that person's prakriti, that is like half battle won already. Then you can take care of your other health issues very easily. So Ayurveda talks very elaborately about these things. Today, before I conclude, every time I would try to give you some kind of tips, what should be done to maintain. Tips is actually not an appropriate word, guidelines, which we can follow in our day-to-day life to maintain health. Last time I mentioned about winter, because we are in winter now, so what should be done? In general also, it is said. Now, it will be very interesting for you to know. Uh, Ayurveda talks about practicality of these kind of guidelines, how practically we can apply these guidelines. And the explanation is given in a very poetic way. Many things are mentioned in very poetic way, whether they are in Sanskrit or in Hindi, and some things in Sindhi also. Like, for example, every day we take bath. Everybody takes bath at least once a day. Ayurveda says we are supposed to take bath twice a day. And in our samskaras, Vedic samskaras also, after wearing janev, a man is supposed to take bath 3 times a day, three sandhya, sunrise time, noon time, and sunset time. And after taking bath, holding the janev in particular way, the person is supposed to chant the Gayatri mantra at least for 7 times. So Ayurveda talks about taking bath. Now, if I ask you a question, how to take bath, you may think it's a very silly question. Everybody knows how to take bath. But in my experience, I've come across, whether I've conducted seminars, I've asked this question, or in one-to-one consultation, when I ask this question from people, most of the time I get wrong answer. So I will not go into details what kind of answers people give. I will tell you that what Ayurveda says, how to take bath. In a poetic way, it is said that garam na hai, ठंडा खाए, डॉक्टर के पास कभी ना जाए. One way of saying that. That means शरीर को गर्म करके, you rub your body first, warm your body up, and take bath with normal tap water, not hot water. Sometimes people they think garam nahay means we have to use hot water to take bath. No, Ayurveda doesn't say that. You warm up your body and use normal water to take bath. Garam nahay, thanda khaye. Thanda means not temperature wise, not cold food. The food which is very sattvic in mode of goodness. There are three modes of nature, three gunas. Sattva guna, that is mode of goodness. Rajo guna, that is mode of passion. And tamo guna, that is mode of ignorance. So the food which is cooked in mode of goodness, that kind of food one should consume. That is sattvic, that is thanda khai, not temperature wise. So from this we can understand that how beautiful, how detailed the guidelines are given, how beautifully and how in detail the guidelines are given in Ayurveda, which we can apply in a very practical way in our day-to-day life. And when we apply, then we benefit. So I will conclude my part here. And if you want to, Narayanji, if you want to say something, if you want to ask, or Dayalji, if you want to ask anything, you can ask.
We'll do that later. Let's get on to the show because there's only 5 minutes left now.
Yes, it's very good information you provided. Thank you very much. असांजे विच में श्री दयाल हरजाणी साहब आहिनि. जीअं त मां त हुननि खे शुक्रिया चवंदुसि कि लिकियल लाल ॻोल्हे ॻोल्हे करे खणी आया आहिनि. पहिरीं मां अर्चना खे वठी आया, बालीअ जा ॿार अहिड़ा सुठो संस्कृत में असांखे मंत्र ॿुधायऊं. वरी अॼु विनोद जी खे वठी आया, हनीश जी खे वठी आया. अहिड़ा लिकियल लाल तव्हां ॻोल्हे ॻोल्हे खणी पिया अचो. सिंधी समाज उन लाइ तव्हांखे शुक्रिया थो चए. Because it is very difficult today to get knowledgeable person about Ayurveda, and even in पुरोहित सिंधी पुरोहित अॼु जे सिंधी पुरोहित खे अगरि कंहिंखे शादी बि कराइणी हुजे न 15 मिंट में केतिरा ॼणा कराए वठंदा आहिनि एतिरो नॉलेज
धर्म में लिखियलु हूंदो न, धर्म जी ॻाल्हि आहे।
हा त छा आहे की हेॾा नॉलेजेबल माण्हू तव्हां गॾु त कया आहिनि उन लाइ सिंधी समाज जे तरफ़ां सिंधी हेरिटेज जे तरफ़ां मां तव्हांजो शुक्रगुज़ार कंदुसि ऐं
Thank you.
असांजा वरी दादा वरी फ्रंट में अचण ई कान था चाहिनि चवंदा आहिनि भाई तव्हां प्रोग्राम चालू कयो मां लास्ट में ईंदुसि इहा बि हिकिड़ी वॾी ॻाल्हि आहे की भाई प्रोग्राम पाण पिया कराइनि एंड ही इज़ नॉट कमिंग इन द फ्रंट ही इज़ आस्किंग ओके लास्ट में मां ईंदुसि त
एतिरो
इहा
प्रेम
बि
कंदड़ उहो मुंहिंजो बलून थी वेंदो हथ सां।
जी
He is
Let
very
me
humble.
यस
share with everyone today a very important mantra. जंहिं घर में कन्या हुजे ऐं उन जो विवाह में कुझु रंडक हुजे त उहो समस्या हटाइण जे लाइ उहो हिकिड़ी मंत्र ॻोल्हे छॾियो स्क्रिप्चर्स में. This is very, very important for girls to chant. The way of chanting, they should ask Purohit or people like Vinod Sharma. But my condition is that they should chant with Shraddha, faith in God. That's the first condition. I'll just repeat. I'll just say one time and I'll show you this. I've written it down. तो तई हुन जो screenshot करे उते ई repeat कजो बदल. Okay. So I'll start. It says तत् यानी महामाये महायोगिनाथ ईश्वरी नंद गोपसुतम देवी पतिम में कुरुते नमः. Acha, now I'm going to show you for everyone. If you can see it, please take out a screenshot. Can you see it? Can everybody see it?
थोरो मथे कयो दादा
Can everybody see it?
यस नाउ ओके यस
महिरबानी करे ने वो screenshot खणी जेके बि आहिनि viewers, let us chant it together.
ओके
So let us chant it together now.
यस प्लीज
Vinod Sharma will be better chanter than me, but let me try. So I'll say again, and all of you in your own place, chant it that way. Tat yani Mahayoginath Nanda Sutam Devi Patim Mekurute Namaha. Okay, so I'm going to chant one more time and then let Sabni Penje Numune chant Kare, share Kareo, और जंहिं घर में कन्या हुजे या कहिड़ो रंडक हुजे उन में यानी शादी में या कुछ बि हुजे तो God will bless them and they'll have your desires fulfilled with the grace of God and with the grace of your Sindhi Heritage Program. So I'll repeat one last time. Kat Yani Mahamaye Mahayoginadi Yoginadji Swari Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patim Me Kurute Namaha. So this is for all our Sindhi girls and other girls who need to be happy in their life. I would like to wish them all the best of my heart, and may they always be happy in their life. Now to end, I would like to share with you the importance of chanting the mantra Om. Om अहिड़ो अद्भुत मंत्र आहे जो सभिनी जे लाइ it is one time one like a one shoe fits all is a mantra for all seasons. At any given time you can chant. There is no problem whatsoever or any conditions. The Om chant करण सां कुछ ॻाल्हियूं अचनि थियूं पंहिंजे बॉडी में या ऑरा में उहो मां तव्हांखे पढ़ी थो ॿुधायां तो तई पंहिंजे नमूने लिखी छॾियो. Swami Sivananda चए थो that if you chant Om 50 times 50 दफ़ा हिकिड़े सेशन में त तव्हांजा सभु दुख दूर थी सघनि था. Depends on your attitude, your focus and concentration. त उन में पहिरियों त आहे त उन तव्हांजो जेको वाइब्रेशन आहे ऑरा आहे इट गेट्स क्लीन. ॿियो तव्हांजो कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इम्प्रूव्स. थर्ड जेके बि टॉक्सिन्स आहिनि बदन में इट रिलीसेस यू ऑफ टॉक्सिन्स. your immunity and self-healing process is increased. Chanting Om improves your voice and gives a strength to the vocal cord and muscles in old age and as well as young age. It's very important. Mantra Om, very few people know about it. It's excellent for cardiovascular problems. It improves your cardiovascular problem. तव्हीं वेठा आहियो आराम सां भई किथे chant, you're free, just chant Om in your own way and liberate yourself. It brings your blood pressure also normal. ॿियो तव्हांजो इमोशंस जेके आहिनि अगरि भड़कियल आहिनि या टर्ब्यूलेंट आहिनि त उनखे शांत करे सघे थो. So this is very important to chant Om most of the time whenever you're free. ऐं ॿियो छा आहे कि तव्हांजे सॼे बदन जो जेको मेटाबॉलिज़म आहे that also increases. It becomes sound and proper. And this is for the girls. Chanting Om gives you a sunny glow on your face when you chant Om regularly. So for women and girls who want to become more pretty, please do chant Om. It's very beautiful, for your facial features. And so जेको spinal cord है असांजो, Om has a direct effect on the spinal cord. जेके योगी आहिनि आसना कनि था ओम chanting करे उनखे शक्तिशाली थो थिए. And then also another thing, जॾहिं ताईं पाणी खणो था ऐं पाणी पियो था ताईं ओम chant करियो 3 दफ़ा, the quality of water changes. And it's proved by Japanese people also that when you chant Om, जेके water crystals आहिनि, it makes a beautiful sequence which affects our own body beautifully. And that I've just written a book now, which I'm coming very recently, and I'll give Vinodji to also make a testimonial later on. I'll come to you that later on. But for me, for today, I hope JK and the viewers, इन्हनि खे Om chanting जो psychology ख़बर पई है, and अगर कंदा त ॾाढो सुख शांति सां जीवन इन्हनि जो सफल थींदो. From me, it's today is enough.
Om, Om,
Om
Om,
Shanti, Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti, Om Shanti.
Hari Om, Hare Krishna.
Hari
Thank you
Om.
very much, Dayalji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samni
Thank
Supyananda ji.
for becoming a part of our team, and I
Yes.
hope you will continue by ईंदा regularly ऐं असांखे पंहिंजो ज्ञान प्रदान कंदा त सभी व्यूअर्स जेके आहिनि मज़बूत कोविड जे टाइम ते मज़बूत थी वञनि. हीअ असांजी शुभकामना आहे सभिनी जे लाइ भई जेके बि ॿुधनि था त उन्हनि जी तंदुरुस्ती एकदमि हनुमान जी he should be like Hanuman ji, strong. Face all differences in life. So I would like
Yes,
to
it is
thank
really
you.
my pleasure. It's really my pleasure to
See
be
you very
in this
soon.
team.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome you as a part of team. And I would like to thank also Hanish now. Where is Hanish?
Harish, I think
There?
is left.
Huh?
Harish is left. Harish also left.
He has left already.
Yes, yes.
And we'll thank his presence in absence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also thank our Swamini, who's really
Swamini,
like
yeah.
a breath of fresh air in Hong Kong. And she has given so much spiritual knowledge to the youngsters that when they flower, they will eternally remember her for her hard work and patience of putting the seeds of spirituality in the youngsters' mind. And now with Vinodji, Hanesh, KP Daswani and all, I think we are doing a phenomenal job. And सॼी
Yes.
दुनिया में असीं ये spread करियूं. What's the Hindi word for spread?
फैलायूं.
Felayo.
Huh?
Felayo.
फैलायूं.
फैलायूं.
Okay. That's something you follow. Okay,
सही
now
ॻाल्हि आहे.
we go on. And
हाँ.
please do the
जीअं
last.
त
Thank you.
जीअं त दयाल जी चयो सभिनी जो भलो थिए त हीअ जेका स्वामी लीलाशाह जी प्रार्थना मां लास्ट में हरदम चवंदो आहियां उहा सभिनी जे भले लाइ आहे. हे भॻवान असां सभिनीनि खे सुबुद्धि ॾियो, शक्ति ॾियो, निरोगता ॾियो, पंहिंजो पंहिंजो कर्तव्य पालन करे सदा सुखी रहूं. हे भॻवान असां सभिनीनि खे सुबुद्धि ॾियो, शक्ति ॾियो, निरोगता ॾियो, पंहिंजो पंहिंजो कर्तव्य पालन करे सदा सुखी रहूं. ओम शांति शांति शांति. वरी गॾिजंदासीं नेक्स्ट मंडे ॾींहुं हिकु नए एपिसोड सां गॾु. थैंकफुल। मां धन्यवाद ॾींदुसि अॼु जे असांजे गेस्ट स्वामिनी सुप्यानंदा, ॿार प्रियंका सोनी ऐं हुनजो भाउ असांजे विच में आया, श्री दयाल हरजाणी साहिबु, हनीश दरियानानी, यंग पुरोहित ऐं श्री विनोद शर्मा जी, जेके असांखे आयुर्वेदिक जो नॉलेज ॾिनो। मां हुननि सभिनी खे धन्यवाद ॾींदुसि ऐं हुन सां गॾु ई ओम शांति शांति शांति। जय झूलेलाल, जय झूलेलाल।